Still with us from the Newsmax studios in New York City, veteran conservative political commentator Dennis Michael Lynch. Let's go ahead and move on and join the fray. Presidential historian, author of the bestseller Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan, president of Shirley and Bannister Public Affairs, Craig Shirley now joins us. Craig, thanks so much for joining us. Glad you're here. We promised a little Donald Trump here a couple of moments ago. Let's go ahead and deliver. Let's get to it. Donald Trump reaffirming his idea to limit access to the internet, which, by the way, he called our internet. And the last time I checked, America does not own the internet, minor item here, but limiting access to the internet to the terrorists intent on killing us. Here's what he had to say.
I would certainly be open to closing areas where we are at war with somebody. I sure as hell don't want to let people that want to kill us and kill our nation use our internet. Yes, sir, I am.
All right, Craig Shirley, you're new to the game here, so let's go ahead and bounce to you here. Donald Trump came out. Actually, when he started, he said a lot of the same things that he has said over and over and over again. He talks a lot about what has been done, what should be done. He doesn't really ever talk a lot about what he would do. But let's be honest, Craig, when he says things like this gets right to the core of the American voter. They want to hear this. This is where he makes his points. Yes?
Yes, I agree. And I'm glad he clarified his statements, too, because I was a little bit concerned a couple days ago when he said just shutting down the internet. So I was glad to see tonight that he focused his comments on those areas where we can affect the internet, or at least engage in subterfuge and intelligence services to help track al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups and their use of the internet. So I'm glad he clarified it. I think it's a common sense approach to it, and I think most people would agree with him.
All right, now let's go ahead and listen to something else here. Dennis, I'm sorry, you wanted to go ahead and let in?
Yeah, I think what you have to understand is Donald Trump, the person. Donald Trump is not going to get into the nuances of things. What he meant to say was we should be attacking the IP addresses of every nation that is host to al-Qaeda and ISIS. But he doesn't talk like that.
But why doesn't he talk like that, though, Dennis? Why doesn't he talk like that?
I'll tell you why. And Ed, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you why he doesn't talk like that, because he's just himself. But I will say this. I think he needs to really take a look at this, because he's a gunslinger quarterback. You know, he just always keeps on throwing a long pass. What's going to happen sooner or later, he needs to have an offensive coordinator that says to him, look, you need to start to round the edges a bit and be a little bit more methodical in where you're passing the ball, which in other words is saying you have to start giving people some more detail than just that it's going to be great. But people trust the fact that this guy is going to deliver, because if you look at him, he's a success in life. And that's what people are banking on. They're banking on the fact that this guy's going to do what he's promising that he's going to do, which is to shut down the borders and protect the American people.
I think what they're also banking on is the fact that Donald Trump will not back down from a fight. Something else that we had talked about earlier this evening on the Hardline was that Jeb Bush had to take the gloves off. He had to stop being the nice guy and get into the mud. About 90 minutes in is where you really saw one of the big explosions of the night. That's when Donald Trump and Jeb Bush went at it. Here's what they did.
The simple fact is, if you think this is tough and you're not being treated
this
fairly,
isn't tough and easy.
Imagine what it's going to be like dealing with Putin, or dealing with President Xi, or dealing with the Islamic terrorism that exists. This is a tough business to run for president.
No, you're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is
real tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Well, let's see. I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better.
Craig, Donald Trump always talks about his numbers. He went right back to it again in this exchange right here. Did at least Jeb Bush show the kind of backbone that people thought he needed to in order to at least try and get back in the race?
I don't think that anybody didn't think that Jeb, or except in Donald Trump's mind, that Jeb didn't have a backbone. It's a question of what is the right answer. And I think to the American people right now, Donald Trump has the more correct answers about the Middle East than does Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush wants to get back involved. Jeb Bush wants to take down Assad. Jeb Bush wants to enforce no-fly zones. And Donald Trump made, I think, the excellent point that ever since we got involved more deeply in the Middle East, we've made it more of a mess, and that we need to recognize that maybe democracy isn't for every place, and that the most stable Middle East is with military or civilian strongmen controlling their nation states.
All right, now I got about 90 seconds left, and you mentioned the Middle East, so I want everybody to hear this. We talked about him, Ted Cruz. He was asked about his comments. He made these. He said he was going to carpet bomb ISIS into oblivion. And the question here was that might include thousands of civilians still living in ISIS-controlled areas. So would he still go in and take that kind of action? Here's what he said.
Right now, Obama is launching between 15 and 30 air attacks a day. It is photo-op foreign policy. We need to use overwhelming air power. We need to be arming the Kurds. We need to be fighting and killing ISIS where they are.
30 seconds into both of you. Craig, Shirley, you up first, seeing as your new guy here on the block right now. Did Ted Cruz push through enough? Did he make an impact?
Yeah, I think he did. I think right now, I would say that Christie and Cruz are the winners of the debate tonight. Carly Fiorina seems to be reciting her resume every time. Look, civilians are often casualties of war. Winston Churchill bombed Dresden. Civilians sometimes get in the way, and it's unfortunate circumstance of war. But there you have it. It happens.
All right, to you, Dennis. Now, we already heard Craig say that he thinks that it was Christie and Cruz. 30 seconds to you. Who do you think, in your early estimation, is winning this?
I think it's Christie and Trump. And I also think that what Trump and Rubio are going to have to do to Cruz is they're going to have to dig in deeper on that 325,000 visas, H-1 visas, that Cruz pushed for years and just 6 months ago was touting to the Latino group, saying about how it is that he wanted to do that. Now all of a sudden he's backstepping or not even answering the question. That puts us at a great risk.
I love this. We're going to be talking about this for days, weeks, and months. This is just getting fun. Craig, Shirley, Dennis, Michael Lynch, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk again soon. We will talk again tonight, but we're out for a few moments. I'm going to step out, make way for J.D. Hayworth. He'll take over the chair. He'll be joined by Dick Morris, Roger Stone, political commentator Michael Reagan, and much more. Who won the debate? Tell us. Go to newsmaxpolls.com, hit it all night long, and tell us what you thought. The debate special continues on Newsmax.